Во ово издание на ноќно студио мој гостин е Фиљос Тангос, директор на Солунската градска телевизија ТВ 100 и со него ќе поразговарам за тоа што во Грција во моментот се случува во однос на решавањето на проблемот со името. Фиљос Тангос, welcome to my program. My first question is about what's the mood in Greece in regards to the prospect to find a solution for the name issue?
So there is a certain fatigue with the issue. It's been going on for the last 26 years. It's been weighing too much on the Greek diplomacy as a whole. We spend a lot of diplomatic capital in order to convince our partners for our arguments on the issue. And there is a sort of window of opportunity to find a solution since the government transition in your country. The previous governments of under Nikola Gruevski, or I should say the regime, there was no common ground to produce any tangible solution. There were negotiations, but I think there was not a genuine will to produce something tangible. If you ask the diplomats, they would say that it's time to move forward, provided that there is, let's say, a compromise solution that is acceptable on both sides. If you ask the public opinion at large, then the most recent polls have shown that there is a large majority of the Greek public opinion refusing the use of the term Macedonia in a solution for the name of your country. And this is understandable on two grounds. The first is that the transition in your country is very recent, and the public opinion in Greece is stuck on whatever information they had.
The impression of the previous government. By the way, how the public opinion here received the recent decision of Macedonian government to change the name of the airport, to change the name of the highway?
As a good gesture, but not enough, I would say. But it's a gesture on the positive side. One has to bear in mind two things. First is that for 10 or 12 years, and with all this project of antiquization of your national identity, all this project of Skopje 2014, with all these statues and monuments, etc., it was felt in this side of the border by the Greek public opinion as a trauma and a vindication of "we told you so," that whatever were our worst fears in the 1990s, they are materialized now. They are proven, we are proven right. And this was a long period, and this has sort of sunk in the public opinion. So the transition is too recent to produce, I think, to
have an impact within the public opinion in Greece. So the public opinion in Greece remains.
That's what the polls show.
Okay. What about the political will? It's not clear whether the government, within the government, or the same it's with opposition, is there any political will in Greece among the main political players?
Well, you know, politicians are often driven to, instead of showing courage and finding solutions, to postpone the solutions and push them to the next government or to the next generation.
So who's the leader, the public opinion or the politicians now? That's
well, politicians is a generalization.
Is there any leadership ready
you have the main partner in the government, the Syriza party, who is the driving force on the Greek side for this new momentum in negotiations. They are in favor of a compromise solution, an honorable compromise solution. They have a smallest partner in the government, a smaller party, which is ANEL, ultra-nationalist. They are not in favor of finding a solution, a compromise solution. And then you have the opposition. In the opposition you have the two main parties in the opposition are the center-right and center-left. They were both in government during the last 20 years. Under the government of Nea Dimokratia, the center-right, the official position of the Greek government was in favor of a compromise solution.
There was
with a composite name.
Yeah,
the same goes with the PASOK, the center-left. So they might be in the opposition now, but when they were in the government, their position, their official position, was in favor of a composite name solution.
So what's happened in the meantime with the well-known national consensus in Greece? And if we well understood, this consensus was about accepting the compromise solution, the name with the geographical reference. And that was
a composite solution with
so-called red line
the name with a geographical or a historical reference, because New Macedonia is a historical reference, mainly the geographical reference. For Upper or Northern Macedonia, that was the, let's say, the political compromise or the political consensus. That was sort of established in the late 1990s, during the first decade of the new century. That was established both under the governments of Nea Dimokratia and PASOK. Now, I think that the political parties are realists. They have been into government. They have held the responsibility of the nation, and they are responsible enough to know that the only way to go forward with a solution is a compromise solution, a composite solution.
I'm asking because it looks like that right now there are many other details that are very much important for the Greek side.
Once you go into the negotiations, then the details surface. So let me say that if I understand
because
the Greek...
once the Macedonian government declared that they're ready to accept the compromise name with the geographical reference, suddenly Athens, the government, changed direction of what they are looking for.
I'm not
Maybe
sure
I'm wrong,
that they did. Let's say that on the table we have negotiations about, let's say, let's schematize three things. One is the name of the country. The second is the extent of the use of this name. And the third is other considerations about how do we or you call your language, about identity issues. Let's say that my understanding is that on the name there is going to be a solution mid-ground, midway, a composite name with a certain geographical or historical, let's say, composite there. And the Greek side is more persistent on whatever has to do with the extent of the use, the famous erga omnes solution, going as far as demanding a change in your constitutional name, and that is very sensitive on the Greek side. And I understand that on your side you are very sensitive on issues that pertain to the identity, how do you call your language, etc.
There is a kind of political will to accept this geographical reference, because there is a government in Skopje understood that there is another Macedonia, so there is a region of Macedonia shared by three countries even. Largest part is in Greece, as geography shows. But what about the language? It's well known that there is only one Macedonian language, very well known in the global world linguistic map recognized there is no another Macedonian language. So what's the problem to accept that the existence of Macedonian language as such?
So your viewers, your compatriots have to understand the Greek psyche on the term Macedonia. Growing up in Greece as a Greek, we are accustomed, that's what we are taught and that's what we know, that whatever pertains to the term Macedonia is filled with Greek connotations. If we're talking about ancient Macedonians, they were speaking Greek. If we are talking about modern day Greek Macedonians, they are Greek. So
that's a kind of exclusivity of the term
exactly.
Macedonian.
So let's say that for those in Greece that want to move forward, want to find a solution, the best way would be to separate the two. No one has the best way would be that no party, neither Athens nor Skopje, use the term Macedonia without an adjective. So if you are Northern Macedonians, we are Southern Macedonians. If you are New Macedonians, we are Old Macedonians, etc. If you are Slav Macedonians, then we are Greek Macedonians. This is a way to avoid the amalgams, to avoid the confusion. What the Greek side is sort of has a fixation with is the confusion, is the fact that if I travel abroad and say that I'm a Macedonian, I'm confused for something that I'm not. If I travel abroad and say that I have a degree from the University of Macedonia, which is here in Thessaloniki, then I'm confused for having a degree in another language than the Greek language. So I understand that for your fellow countrymen, it's a matter of pride that...
No, it's not a matter of pride. It's a matter of the fact there is a well-known, recognized Macedonian language as a Slavic language in the world linguistic map. We have to ask the linguistic whole world to change the name of this language, which is a bit weird.
You have a point, but from the Greek point of view, whatever is Slavic Macedonian should be also coined or in its terminology should be distinguished as Slavic Macedonian, and whatever is Greek Macedonian should not be just Macedonian, should be Greek Macedonian.
So having in mind what you are saying, it means that all these details should be part of the agreement.
I'm not the one doing the negotiations. No, I'm just explaining the Greek point of view.
Yes, the Greek point of view. It means that the Greek point of view of the main political players is that all of these details should be in a way resolved within a final agreement, if there is any.
Well, for the Greek point of view, for the Greek political point of view, the government point of view is that there should be one agreement to resolve all issues, not a pre-agreement in view of another agreement. We have had the how do you call this, back in 1995, the interim agreement, and now we are working to find the final agreement. So there should be one agreement and should resolve all pertaining issues. Now, for the Greek side, since your language is named Macedonian language, is also an issue in the negotiation. But
you have to defer the territories, geography, and to reflect the reality of the geography with the solution for the name issue. Then what about Macedonian language? There is no another one.
Yes, from the Greek point of view, it should be...
What's the need to distinguish the Macedonian language? Because there is no another one.
I understand your point of view, but I'm explaining what the Greeks feel. Let's not, the Greek position since the mid-1990s is that we should not claim monopoly of the term Macedonian. We Greeks should not claim monopoly of the term Macedonian. But whenever we use the term, or you use the term, to portray, to mean something which is not Greek, which is Slavic, then it should be an adjective. And the issue of the language come into this. But having said this, the most important thing from the Greek side on the negotiation table is the extent of the use, the erga omnes, and not that much about the language.
Once we have agreement, it will be an international agreement. It means that it will be, it must be implemented as such. It's international agreement has a stronger position of any national constitution. So what's the need to change the constitution if we have possibly an international agreement?
Well, technically what you say is right. The experience has shown that international agreements, treaties are stronger than national legislation, constitution included. That's what is going on around the world. Now, it's very difficult to convince for such technical matters the public opinion at large, because we have had the interim agreement. Under the interim agreement, the provisional name former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia was the one that should be in use by your country to all international, let's say, instances. But time and again, ever since the interim agreement was agreed upon and not signed.
It was an interim agreement. I'm talking about an agreement, a rich agreement by the two sides, internationally
understandably
recognized.
so, but I'm explaining
It means
why
that
the Greek public opinion
it couldn't be different than Northern or Upper Macedonia or any other Vardarska geographical reference.
But the Greek public opinion, my Greek fellow countrymen, have this experience of how the provisional name was used by your government over the years. It was an interim agreement as such, but there was this former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, and whenever, be it at athletic, let's say, meetings, or scientific meetings, or we were presented with the constitutional name. We had agreed to use the provisional name, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, this FIROM thing, but your representations were putting on the table your constitutional name. So this created a climate of discomfort, and the Greek public opinion is genuinely not confident about your country's...
But that's irrational. If we have a proper international agreement, it means that no country would be able to recognize our country as Republic of Macedonia. All international community, by the force of this international agreement, should recognize Macedonia as a northern, upper.
We have both.
That's the way. There is no space. There is no room for any other maneuvers.
We are both journalists, and we have worked many years, decades, on international conference and diplomatic conferences, so we know how it works. But this is a technicality. You're right, but it's a technicality. For the public opinion, what what remains is the negative experience of having agreed upon a provisional name, Fyrom, and having been presented with the constitutional name.
This is why we stay stuck in the past, at the experience of the past.
Yes, but we should explain why we are here. Shouldn't your countrymen, fellow countrymen, know why we are here? We are here because the interim agreement provided for a provisional name, and we thought that, okay, this provisional name...
It's about the confidence.
Of course. Of course it's about confidence.
So we need a measure of confidence in the meantime.
Of course it's about confidence. It's all about confidence. The antiquization period in your country, which is, you are moving forward, but it needs to be materialized in several other aspects, including what your younger generations are taught at school. It's about confidence.
I'm trying to put the debate in a rational framework. I mean,
but we are not negotiating.
Again, I'm just asking what's mood in Greece about the proposal that we learned that are circulated around here in Greece. One of them is to have a geographic reference, but then to have it as a one word. Upper Macedonia or North Macedonia, but one word. Again, it's grammatically weird. In all languages, there is a North Korea, let's say. It's a South Korea, but two words.
That's all about what is happening between closed doors in the diplomatic sphere, be it direct diplomatic talks between the two countries or mediated through a third, let's say, Matthew Nimitz. This is behind closed doors. What I'm trying to convey is what the mood is in the Greek public. And the government is taking into account the mood in the Greek public. That's why we have seen the position of the Greek side stiffening after the big demonstrations here in Thessaloniki on January 21st and in Athens on February 4th.
I'm trying to understand the Greek position. I mean, we understood that there is that the Minister of Foreign Affairs made a draft proposal for the solution, but I don't know what the content of this
Neither
draft. That's my question. What's the information? Have you been informed as a public opinion about the...
No. We have been informed that out of the five, let's say, different names proposed by the mediator, that your government is not happy with New Macedonia. But we have not been informed about what the draft agreement being drafted by Greek diplomats to be presented to you as I don't know, food for thought, is containing.
How you see on us, as an enemy or?
We are in Thessaloniki. Thessaloniki is the second largest city in Greece. It's the capital of unemployment, deindustrialized very heavily during the last years. So, are you viewed as enemies? People in the Greek part of Macedonia, in the Greek region of Central Macedonia, which Thessaloniki is the capital of it, know your fellow countrymen. Your fellow countrymen come to this city to spend a good time. They come to our beaches to spend their holidays. They spend money. So it's very difficult for me as an observer to say that you are viewed as enemies. Having said that, what is viewed on this part of the border as a usurpation of our history is a very traumatic experience. Greeks, for one reason that we can discuss very long, but I don't think we have the time for that, are very, very proud of their history. That's what we have, history. besides beaches and good food and other stuff. And all this creation, which is unscientific, of ancient Macedonians not being Greeks, being something else that in the course of the centuries became Slavic, and they are the original Macedonians. All that is very traumatically experienced on this side.
Are you optimistic that we could find
are you viewed as enemies? I would say that my fellow countrymen that are responsible should know that the best way for a country like Greece is to have good neighborly relations. We are in a very volatile region. We have no interest whatsoever as to have your country destabilized. So if we want stability for our neighbors, then we want to have a solution. But the same token, taking off the table of negotiations whatever has to do with history, all these aberrations on history, would be very productive. I don't view you as my enemies, but there is an issue that should be solved. Now, when the issue started, did it start back in 1991? Did it start in 1943? Did it start in 1903? We can discuss, but we have to move forward. And
are you optimistic that we could find
I need to be optimistic. I'm not necessarily optimistic because of what the climate has been after all these recent demonstrations, but I need to be optimistic. I know that my country has very important issues to deal with, and the name is not one of them. And I know that whenever someone looks his interests as on his own, he will not produce the best results. If we view the interests of the region, and this would include our neighbors, you, then if we take steps towards such a way to view our interests, then we will achieve them in a better and more productive and pragmatic way.
My last question, what do you think about the involvement of Germany and Madame Merkel in the name issue? Do they have a leverage in Greece in order to help both countries to find a solution as soon as possible?
Leverage in Greece would mean that maybe exert more pressures on the Greek side to be more receptive to...
Flexible, let's say.
Let's say that there are foreign powers. Germany is one of them. Russia is another one. The United States, that have interests in the region, and most of them have an interest to help the region move towards stability, move as a whole towards integration in the Euro-Atlantic institutions, some of them not. Germany is the leader within the EU. Germany has made clear for many years ago, for decades ago, that they don't think that this is a genuine issue, that they are dismissive of the
It's very difficult for them to understand what it's about.
They are dismissive of the Greek fears. So this has not changed. They have leverage. We are not two islands negotiating on our own. We are part of a larger system. So the system is that Greece is part of NATO, Greece is part of the EU, it has leverage as a member state of the EU and of NATO, but Greece cannot abuse of this leverage. So let's say that we have our positions, some of our positions are not understood by our partners, but they are still our positions. We need to, instead of depending on third parties to sort of exert pressure in order to find a solution, we need to focus on the issues that divide us and create this capital of misunderstanding, of non-confidence, and create confidence. And in doing so, whatever measures have been taken on your side are positive, but I think that the most important is an action that should be taken towards how you instruct your new generation.
And one more question about the Russian influence, having in mind that your church is very influential, and your church has a close ties with the Russian church and Russian state as Orthodox. So what about their influence here?
Well, I think that the church factor is not due to any Russophilia or non-Russophilia, being friendly towards Russian. I think that the Greek church views itself as the, let's say, the depository of the Greek identity. Maybe rightly, maybe wrongly so, but they think that they are the ones protecting our identity, so they side with the common feeling. And the common feeling is what I've already talked to you about. Now, there are issues of foreign, let's say, mingling into our relationship. They have to do with the fact that, for instance, Russia is still exerting power in Belgrade, would not like to see this part of the Western Balkans be included in NATO. This goes as far as...
That's why Russia somehow, Moscow, doesn't like an agreement between Greece and Macedonia.
Obviously, that's obvious. And they use the church as an instrument. It's not the other way around. It's not that the church looks towards Russia. It's that if Russia doesn't want the southwestern Balkans to move towards NATO, church is a very good instrument to use. And on your side as well. I mean, there is...
Despite the church, is there any other anchor of Russian influence here in Greece?
There are, you know very well that Greece is a ruined economically country. I mean, we are in our 8th year of economic crisis, and for the last 5 or 6 years, whatever there was to sell in this part of Greece has mostly gone to Russia money. Football clubs, the port, other kind of industries. We have to sell, but when something is in offer and you have offers only from Russia, it's not our fault that no one else is interested in buying.
Фиљос Тангос, thank you very much for this interview. Го гледавте интервјуто со Фиљос Тангос, тука е и крај на ова издание на Novatv Studio. Ви благодарам за внимание.